The Chicago Bulls just made another roster move, and I think I know what may be coming. The Chicago Bulls have waived Andrew Funk, and I think I know who they may be signing in his place. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
Tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
I see red, I see red, I see red, I see red, yeah, I see red, I see red, I see red, I see.
The Chicago Bulls have announced. Wait a second. How you guys doing? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And so the Chicago Bulls have waived Andrew Funk. Now, this is a player that the Bulls brought in about midway through the season yesterday to be a possible shooter when the Bulls were missing a lot of shooting. He ended up not really making an impact at all for the Chicago Bulls. And so this isn't a big deal in of itself of waiving Andrew Funk, but here's what I'm getting to with this one. Javonte Freeman-Liberty was just recently waived by the Toronto Raptors. Keep in mind, Javonte Freeman-Liberty was a player that the Bulls did want to keep. They didn't have he unfortunately he didn't wait around for his deal. Not unfortunate for him, but I do think that this could pave the way of Javonte Freeman-Liberty making his return to the Chicago Bulls. Listen, this is complete speculation on my part. I want to be clear on that, but it just makes sense that Javonte Freeman-Liberty could potentially be the one that is signed back to the Chicago Bulls team. When you think of the fact that the Bulls still need shooting. Yes, they did get DJ Stewart when it came down to it, but it's just the timing of this is interesting in the sense that Javonte Freeman-Liberty was just waived by the Toronto Raptors, and the very next day you waive Andrew Funk. That's the thing that I'm thinking about when it comes down to this. Now, that would mean that you have a very guard-heavy lineup in the Windy City Bulls because you do have DJ Stewart there. But I think that the Bulls could be making something right here. Now, again, completely speculative on my part. I want to be clear on that. They could be looking elsewhere. They could be looking at size. They could be doing something like that. But I would not be surprised if Javonte Freeman-Liberty may be the next signing when it comes down to it. No, Shay, you're wrong. We just waived Andrew Funk. That means that there is a two-way contract open. That's the whole point of this. Come on, Shay, think before you type, bro. Think before you type, man. So I'm just saying with that. Curtis says useless signing with. I mean, it's a two-way contract. Most two-way contracts are useless. Let's just be clear here. Most two-way contracts are not players that you end up sticking around on your team. But we'll see. We'll see. I think Freeman-Liberty could be on his way back to the Chicago Bulls. Matter of fact, I'm gonna change the thumbnail on that too. But I'm just saying, if I'm right on this, y'all remember Haize said it here first. Usually the Bulls kind of they kind of get their guy back, right? And so they wanted to re-sign Javonte. I mean, they wanted to keep Javonte Freeman-Liberty, but they had some things that they wanted to get in order. Mainly earn a lot, but teams deal is what they ended up wanting to get together. And Javonte Freeman-Liberty, considering the buzz that he had coming out of last year's summer league, he didn't want to wait around for that deal. So the Bulls end up moving on. I mean, and he moving on, going to the Toronto Raptors team. He doesn't play a lot for that team in the actual NBA level, but I do think that it could be a possibility that Javonte Freeman-Liberty is on his way back to the Chicago Bulls. Now, I could be completely wrong with that. This isn't anything. I don't have any insider information on this. I have not used any of my my get out of jail, my get inside information cards to get any of this information, but I can only use that so many times a year. So we'll see, man. We'll see what happens with it. I would not be surprised if Javonte Freeman-Liberty ends up coming back to the Chicago Bulls. I wouldn't be surprised on that at all, man. Would not be surprised. Ariel, you're here. So how are you going to say something's not worth streaming that you decided to click on and then you decided to type a comment to? Stop the bullshit. So we'll see. I'm going to Google Haize because I don't know these people at all. Have you not been paying attention to the Chicago? You don't know who Javonte Freeman-Liberty is? Like, real talk? That's crazy. Little Bulls fan says, sup, Haize? How you been, man? I've been good, brother. DBLD says, I love that guy, not gonna lie. Listen to the interviews after we signed him. He seems like a great guy. I understand why we waived him, though. Yeah, I mean, he just He didn't play good. Javon Freeman-Liberty would be the top selling jersey in Independence. That's hilarious. Isn't DJ smaller to Liberty? Yes, Javon Freeman-Liberty, if I'm not mistaken, he's a pretty tall point guard. Maybe Javon Freeman. I mean, keep in mind, it's G League. So even if they do run a small lineup, it's G League. So it's not like it. Oh no, Javon Freeman-Liberty is only 6'3". He just looks a lot taller. I don't know why Javon Freeman-Liberty looks a lot taller than that. Would either guy make the actual 50? No player on the two-way contract is going to make the final 15-man roster because guess what? All 15 spots are taken up. That's why nobody's going to make the final 15-man roster. So what are we talking about? I haven't seen anyone saying his name, so I'll spam it. Kenny Lofton Jr. No, Kenny Lofton Jr. I know he was on somebody's summer league team. But I'm not interested in Kenny Lofton Jr. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, he's still young. He still has some upside, but I'd much rather those minutes go to Patrick Williams, Julian Phillips, and Modest Bucilis. I'm not really worried about a 6'6", 276-pound power forward when we have guys, we're already playing small, and we have guys with much more size than Kenny Lofton Jr. So I'm not really worried about that part of it. It's about time, the old school man. Yeah, he should have been gone, man. I like to trade Vooch for Mitchell Robinson. I mean, you could like that, but considering that New York Knicks team needs defense, that is the thing that they need the most, is some defense and size and some athleticism. I don't see that happening. We need to trade Zach Vooch and all them old heads. We need to tank. We're not tanking. They've already said it. A tank is not coming. You're better off keep doing your crack, my boy. Keep doing your crack, my boy. Still pretty sure Lofton's still struggling with weight. Lofton is just listen, and I don't want to shit on Kenny Lofton Jr. Like, Kenny Lofton Jr. has some skill, and he honestly, for an undersized big man, he is really skilled. Like I said, isn't going to stretch the floor or anything for you, but he's a skilled player. Unfortunately, like it's hard for an undersized player like that that doesn't have a crazy wingspan, isn't too athletic to really make an impact. Like, I don't see it happening for Kenny Lofton Jr., man. Lofton might have a weight issue, but he's a dog, so I would take the risk. See, I'll be willing to, and then y'all complain when the risks don't work out for the Bulls. Certification Poppy in the building says, I know that's why I put him in the chat now, because it'll be nonstop in a minute. That's hilarious. Which of our two-way guys do you think has the most potential right now? I got my money on Adama and Drell. Well, Henry Drell is not on the two-way contract. So right now the only two-way contracts that we have are DJ Stewart and Adama Sanogo. I'll put my money on Adama Sanogo. Henry Drell, I used to think that way about Henry Drell, but I don't know, man. The lusters kind of wore off on Henry Drell. I was high on Javon last year, but this may sound crazy or disrespectful, but what about two-way for Javonte Green to keep him? You know what? That could be a possibility as well. Now, I don't know if Javonte Green. Now, he did sign a two-way contract last year with the Warriors, but that's because he was rehabbing for injury, right? So he got some money while he was able to rehab from injury. I don't think that Javonte Green would accept that too. Now, I mean, here's the thing though. Javonte Green's like an ultimate role player. And the fact that nobody in the NBA has called out to him, maybe you do bring him back on a two-way contract. That's a possibility. So we'll see. I think P. Will I've debunked this a long time ago. P. Will's natural position is not small forward, not in Billy Donovan's offense, maybe in a different coach's offense, but there's literally basically no difference between how the 3 and the 4 is used in Billy Donovan's offense. If you go and look at it historically, it was a little bit different with DeMar DeRozan because DeMar doesn't shoot threes, but there's nothing that's going to change for Patrick Williams playing at the 3 or playing at the 4. Patrick Williams still guarded mainly small forwards even when he was at the power forward. So anybody who's going to say that, oh, but what about defensively? He's guarding threes at that point. He guarded a lot of threes last year. Matter of fact, if I look up, give me 1 second. I'll look it up. Let's see what positions did Patrick Williams guard last season. I watched. It's about a 50-50 split. There's not much that changes. Patrick Williams is a power forward in the modern day basketball. We just got to come to that conclusion. Like it is what it is. It's okay. I promise you, it's okay. Last season, Patrick Williams guarded small forwards 58% of the time and power forwards 42% of the time. It doesn't matter. Like I'm just like I said, in a different coaching scheme, maybe I'll give you that. In a different coaching scheme, it could be drastically different. But for Billy Donovan, Ain't much going to change if Patrick Williams moves to the 3. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And then who do you want at the 4? Modest Bucilis ain't ready to play the 4. He's even smaller than Patrick Williams, taller, but and that's even questionable depending on some of the measurements you look at. You want Torrey Craig old ass playing there? Like, Patrick Williams is perfectly fine at the 4. The thing that's hurting Patrick Williams is not the position that he's playing. It's the mentality that he has. That's the problem in Patrick Williams right now. It's not the position. Yo, Haize, who was Freeman-Liberty? Was the one on the Summer League players on the Bulls. He was last season. So if you remember last season where he had a great run, I think he had played on our preseason team a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. You mean Freeman-Liberty coming back? The basketball gods bless us. We don't know for sure. That's the speculative part on this. Completely speculative. I just need the regular season basketball games to start tomorrow. Not having daily basketball is boring and shit if you're not spending time with the family. Well, go watch the WNBA, Simba. There's always basketball going on. The WNBA is pretty well, it's on break now too, so you can't even do that. Giddey did a good job on the defensive end from what I saw in the Olympics. Now he wasn't a lockdown defender, but he knew where to be on the defensive end. Listen, yeah, Giddey is an active defender. Like the problem with that could hurt his case or it could make it better depending on how you want to look at it. Because he does give effort, but he still sucks. So that's the thing you have to look at that with. He gives tons of effort, but sucks. So it would be more promising if it was like, hey, he just needs to give it like with Zach. Zach is a bad off-ball defender because it's like Zach just falls asleep. On ball, he's pretty good when he wants to be. And so because of that, it's like if Zach LaVine ever just wakes up, he actually probably could be a pretty solid defender. Not saying a lockdown defender or anything like that, but maybe a pretty solid defender. But with Josh Giddey, he gives tons of effort defensively. Tons. Like Josh Giddey moves defensively actually pretty well, but he still gets cooked every single time. So at that point, it's like, all right, Giddey, what are we doing here, Brody? What are we doing? Haize, don't you think he played the 3? He has a 4 next to him. He doesn't have to focus on rebounding as much, what he isn't good at for the 4. I mean, like I said, overall, the impact is still going to be the same, though. Like, he's not focused on rebounding now. It's not because he can't. Patrick Williams' rebounding rate is actually good when he's in position for a rebound. Part of the reason, I'm not saying all of the reason, part of the reason that Patrick Williams doesn't get a lot of rebounds is because he's forced out on the wing, on offense and defense. He's not really in position to get those rebounds. Now, one could say he still needs to give more effort to try to crash the boards, and I'm not going to deny that, but it's not really, again, just to go over, right? And this is going to surprise some people. Defensive rebounding. Patrick Williams is actually in the 75th percentile as far as overall NBA. Now, what that takes into consideration is the quality of the rebound that you got, and are you in position of the rebound? He's 75th percentile in the NBA for that. Now, offensive rebounding, he's in the 47th percentile. You know why he's in the 47th percentile? Because we don't run our power forward as a power forward. We have him out there on the perimeter just waiting for shots. Part of that's on him, but that is also on the scheme. So again, and maybe it's sometimes you can look too much into analytics, and I admit that maybe I do that too much. I'm a very analytical heavy person. If you guys can't tell, I really like to get down into the nitty-gritties of the analytics. And so because of that, like, I just look at it and say Patrick Williams can be an active rebounder. I just look at it and say the position that he's in right now has put him in a spot where Billy Donovan doesn't really use him to try to get him any rebounding there for real. So, but we'll see, man. I mean, overall, with Patrick Williams, I just hope that Patrick Williams comes in and takes advantage of the added opportunity that he's going to have with the Chicago Bulls. So let's hope that that's the case. What's good, bro? What's going on? Glad to have you in the building. P. Willie's definitely B. Should have got that 200 million. No, what are you talking about? And Zabo, you're wrong. Like, literally, he is bigger than the average power forward in the modern basketball. Patrick Williams could be a power forward. The problem is Patrick Williams' mentality. He's not the position. His mentality is not going to all of a sudden change if you move him to the small forward position. It's just not going to happen. Exactly my point on P. Will's rebound. And Jaime Jaquez had like 3.9 rebounds last year, too. He's typically guarding shooters because he's a top 2 defender on the Bulls. I would say last year he's probably top 3. I got Ayo as a better on-ball defender than Patrick Williams, but definitely this year, for sure, especially in that starting lineup, Patrick Williams may be the best defender he is the best defender in that starting lineup. So, yeah. Assuming LaVine and Lonzo are back, what would be your ideal starting 5? I've said this multiple times. Josh Giddey, Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic. I don't care if Lonzo is healthy. He's still not cleared, by the way. You do not bet on a player to be in your starting lineup that's been out of basketball for 3 years. You just don't do it. You don't do it. I don't know what you were watching. I think he averaged like a total of 0.5. He averaged a Tony Snell stat line in the summer league. I think Patrick Williams' mindset holds him back in the court. He needs to have the hustle mentality. That's the biggest thing that I see as well when it comes to Patrick Williams is that mentality. People have to realize when you're standing next to a guy like Nikola Vucevic who rebounds at a high rate, you're not going to get a ton of rebounds. So far, you guys wondering about why Patrick Williams rebounds 4.4. What's also that he doesn't crash the boards enough. Like that is part of the problem as well. But the biggest thing that he can have is more offensive rebounds. And like I said, that comes down to a lot of times with him being out of position as well. Whoever in the comment section watching this live right now said that Patrick Williams deserved to get $200 million contract is smoking stripper ass. Shout out to JDH. That first of all, if Simba's roasting you, that's how you know you're crazy, man. That's crazy. Why do you always say the average power forwards when speaking on P-World? All of the teams seem to actually have 6'9", 6'10" power forwards. No, they don't. And Patrick Williams is 6'9". So Patrick Williams is 6'9", 200 and almost 40 pounds, 35 pounds. Patrick Williams is just as big as any of those guys. He's bigger than Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon's playing the power forward. Bam is stronger than him, but he's the same height as Bam with a longer wingspan. Patrick Williams can play power forward. It's about the mindset. It's not that he can't play power forward. P. Willie can be defensive player of the year if he got them touches. Not necessarily saying that, bro. You a little tripping on that one, man. C-Dub's happy to know he gets to wear his Vooch jersey some more. Hey, listen, I love the fact that Vooch is still going to be the starting center for this team. I love it, man. I love it. Love it. But all right, y'all, I just wanted to bring 17 minutes on a P-Will, man. That's crazy. Patrick Williams was measured at 6'7.8 without shoes on, and he's grown since then. And he actually, in his second year in Summer League, he was measured at 6'8 without shoes. Patrick Williams is 6'9 with a 7'1 wingspan. He can play power forward. So ain't nobody getting on Jerry for stay putting money on the stadiums instead of actually investing money in our players who can ball. Well, that's not correct. He's absolutely. The Bulls have some of the state-of-the-art facilities. We have one of the best practice facilities and gyms in the entire NBA, right? Yes, he doesn't go into the luxury tax, but let's stop. The whole narrative that Jerry doesn't spend money is just false. The only thing Jerry doesn't do is spend into the luxury tax. So, just saying. Getting over the mental hurdle and dunking on guys more often, maybe he gets more foul calls and seem like he really got calls. Well, remember in December, he actually started doing that a lot in December. In December. Bulls says, damn, I forgot how many people comment stupid stuff on this channel. Hey, bro, it's every channel. And even just this one, man. But all right, y'all, go get ready to wrap it up, man. I love you guys. Go Bulls. See Red, y'all. If any other news drops of the Bulls, do make a signing for this two-way contract.